has a real estate license and an insurance license. She's a board member of many organizations, including Michigan Chamber of Commerce, Michigan Association of Chamber Professionals, the Beaumont Health Community Advisory Board, and Oakland University CAS Ambassadors. She conducts over 100 events a year, including the Rochester Christmas Parade. Please welcome the president of the Rochester Regional Chamber of Commerce, Sheri Heiney.
Thank you, everyone. Hope you can hear me all right. I have kind of a loud voice here, but first and foremost, it's my honor and pleasure to be here this afternoon. To me, you are one of the wonderful jewels of our community, and also very valued because you are the keeper of our history. And the Chamber of Commerce works very closely with your group. In fact, I think you just ended your cemetery walk. Hope, did that go well, the cemetery walk? We sell the tickets in our office, so most of those lovely folks that attended, we've said hello to and sold them a ticket and helped promoted you, so I hope that went very well for you. Before we get started in talking a little bit about the history, I wanted to share with you just a little bit more about my background in regards to the parade and Chamber of Commerce as a whole. So I was born and raised in Manistee, Michigan, over on the west side of the state. What's kind of fun about that is my Aunt Phyllis was the chamber director for Manistee. She also was the local librarian and many other titles that she's carried. And so I come from a strong background of giving back to the community from that perspective. And who does not love a parade, right? I mean, honestly, to me, ever since I was a little girl, I've loved parades. Prior to moving here, which was over 16 years ago, I worked for the Greenville Chamber of Commerce. I was the president there. Greenville, Michigan is where the first Fred Meyer store was. I don't know if you're familiar with the Meyer stores. I think many of us have bought a few turkeys there and such. So while I was there, I had the honor of putting on the Danish Festival, which is the third largest festival in the state of Michigan. And in fact, we also had a parade there as well. So I ran a parade there for a long time, and when I was getting ready to move here, I was so thrilled to hear about the Christmas parade. In fact, when I did my sightseeing, that was the board of directors wanted me to see the parade because it's so important to this community. Prior to me signing on the line, if you will, I came to the parade and watched it as an observer, and I was so taken back about this beautiful parade that this wonderful community has. And I mean, that was for me one of the main reasons why I wanted to come here, besides seeing leader dogs, knowing about this beautiful area and raising our 4 children here. So, 16 years later, here I am speaking to all of you about the history of the parade, which in fact, and Rod Wilson will chuckle with me here, we actually tapped into your resources to get the history. So one of my asks today is that we have put together some history about the parade and what we know about it, but there's a lot of gaps, and we need your help with filling those gaps. So we constantly ask the residents to provide us with pictures, anything that you ever can about the history of the parade and of the Chamber of Commerce as far as that goes too, because it's with your help that we can fill the gaps. But we have some pretty good information that we can share with you today, so I look forward to sharing that with you. But one of the things that I know about a parade, so I just want to find out, I want to get kind of a little poll going on here, and maybe if there's some of you that would be willing to share. One thing that I know, and as I walked in and people were like, oh, I'm so excited you're speaking today, and I remember taking my daughter, my children, and all of that. I think that's one of the things that's so special about a parade, whatever community you're in, is the history and the family traditions that come around these types of activities, especially a community parade. So I just wanted to see if there was anybody, first of all, have any of you ever seen the parade? Let's start with that one. So,
How about it? Has anyone not seen it?
yeah, has anyone not seen the Christmas parade? Okay.
Well, I walked in it.
Okay, well, okay, so you haven't said as okay, I get ya.
He saw it.
Should we let that fly?
No, he saw it personal.
Yeah, there you go. So, you know, one of the things that I love is hearing stories. So does anyone want to share a traditional story or anything about the parade? And just so you know, later in the program, I'm going to share with you some crazy things that have happened as a planner of the parade. So you're going to get some inside scoop on what goes on behind closed doors in planning a parade. So, but are there any traditions or stories that anybody wants to share? Yeah, in the back there.
When I first moved here, I worked Sundays at the old library.
Oh, okay.
And on Parade Sunday, we had a rotation. And we would run outside for like 20 minutes. And because there was one librarian, there was probably two librarians, I don't know, anyone downstairs, and a couple of clerks. And one of us would go out for 20 minutes, and then we'd come back, and the next one would go out for 20 minutes, and they'd come back. And we'd stand at the corner of Rochester and University so we could see some section of that parade, and that was 42 years ago.
Wow, that's a cool story. I like that story. How about, yeah.
Yeah, there's, back in the JC days, back in the 70s, one of the first years we had that I was involved, we had an angel. And we built it in a garage, but due to not a very good planning job, we had to cut the head off, take it out of the garage, and put it back on. So halfway through the rainy day, the angel's head goes. So we learned from that, and a couple years later we did, is it Oscar that's in the trash can?
Oh, yeah.
We built that in my father-in-law's garage, and we did the planning and we left the head separate. So we took it out of the garage and put the head on, and it wasn't raining, so we thought we were in good shape, but halfway through the parade, Oscar's head went like this. We're not very good. Then the JCs did assemble everybody for, I'm going to say, a half a dozen years for the chamber. Had the opportunity to try to get people in line and ride up and down the road in the golf carts, trying to keep people back during the parade. Just a lot of good memories and a lot of good fun.
Hopefully no injuries.
Not that I'm aware of.
Besides the angel's head being cut off, which, yeah.
Several years ago, when the parade was magic, I was unfortunately talked into being in it. And they built, a lot of the floats were built in my garage several years.
Historical Society floats.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Historical Society. And they built the big top hat that was going to be in the parade, and then unfortunately talked me into being the bunny in the hat. Got me a bunny suit with a big hat. And then the problem was I was rather large then, and they had to figure out how they were going to get me in that hat. So I finally got a stool and got in it, and I had two men helping me get in it. And I had to sit down in there with my ears down until the correct time. And when we turned the corner at University, or not at University, but Tinkin Road, when we turned the corner, I was supposed to rise up and look at everybody and then jump back down. And all of a sudden, I got applause for doing just that. So all the way down the road, I had to jump up and jump back. It was so much fun.
That's a good one. I like that story. I haven't heard one quite like that. Yeah.
I'll stand up.
Okay.
My husband had just joined the Lions Club the year before, and when they announced they were going to have a parade, he helped build the first float.
Oh my
But I
goodness.
don't remember which year it was. They had a Jack-in-the-Box for their float.
Oh my goodness.
It was along there in the early 50s.
Okay.
And my third son was the Jack-in-the-Box. He had to pop up.
Oh my gosh.
and down. But
Do you have pictures of that?
no, I don't.
Okay.
I wish I
I mean, for the first float.
But one of those early years, it was so cold, about
Yeah.
10 above zero.
Yeah.
And the wind, of course, up there at the shopping center is strong too. But someone in my family, one of my husband did it all the years he was in the Lions Club, he worked on the float. And now my sons, my youngest son, the same one that was a Jack-in-the-Box, he works on the float every year. But it's a wonderful experience for those that are involved.
Wonderful.
And I was blessed to be the marshal one year, and that's another kind of an experience. The worst part of that was deciding on which floats should get the prizes. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because you want to give a whole bunch more prizes.
Exactly. Are there any other parade marshals in the audience? Yeah, grand marshals. We've got 3 of them here? 2, 3? Yeah, great.
I was in it several times,
Okay,
not a marshal.
not a marshal, but in the parade. I saw a couple more hands.
No,
Marshal?
A parade,
Talking about
a parade,
working on the floats themselves, I was in the Lions Club along with Dave,
yeah.
her son, and I remember one time I was holding this board up and I got a Brad gun, click, bang, oh my, right in the thumb. And I
Yikes.
wasn't watching, so keep your thumbs out of the way.
Keep your thumbs out of the way. That's a good advice, right?
Yeah.
How long does it usually take to build a float?
Too long.
Too long.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Usually
Yeah.
right after
I don't know.
Right after Lanyap, we usually started doing
Get
the
started,
parade.
yeah.
It depends on where you're at and how much liquor you have.
We'll take that out of the video, right?
In the end, we,
Right, that was Rod Wilson. Rod Wilson.
In the end, we ended up starting building our floats up at Leader Dog, which
Yeah.
is a heated building. I remember there were some places we had to build them right outside,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
cold weather. Yeah.
in the wind.
Oh, yeah. That wind. I tell you.
Uphill both ways.
There's a hand up in the back.
First time I was in the parade was in 1960,
Okay.
and it was with a troop of brownies,
Oh.
7-year-olds, and it was, my husband had his uncle's team of horses and stuff, and it was so cold, and it was a beautiful day for parade, but it was cold.
Yeah.
Night in it.
Yeah.
But as the years went on, we were in the parades with Scouts, Girl Scouts, Cub Scouts, and a couple of years, because we had a pony and my husband had built a mini hay wagon, we actually brought Santa in.
Oh.
In the parade.
Oh, cool.
So we've had.
And that would have been in the 60s or a little?
No, that was in, what, the early 70s?
Oh, early 70s,
The
okay.
Early 70s. it seems.
Do you have pictures of that?
Probably.
Okay. I'll be looking you up. I'm like, see, this is my way of trying to find more, a collection here. And you've got, I've got one right up here. She's
You
handing
can
me real quick.
give me your email address.
Okay.
I've got a lot of pictures of us constructing those Lions floats,
Okay, as long as they're,
also tearing them apart.
that's great. I have my business cards right up front here, so,
Well, since everybody's been talking about Lions clubs, I'm going to mention the Rotary Club that's been in it all along.
yes.
And we were at our building, after the parade, we had gone back in to get warm and waiting for, I think our son was in the marching with the Cub Scouts, and he gets back, and all of a sudden he comes running back up to the front and says, "There's a train at the back door that wants in." And the Rotary Club had a train for several years.
Oh, my
It
goodness.
was 3 different paces,
Oh,
at
yeah.
least, or 4.
Yeah, I think I've seen some pictures of that, so,
It was real cute, but it was real funny that the train wanted in.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so they did, by putting it into the back end of our building, they were able to get it out of the way and then come get it the next day.
Oh, boy. That's crazy.
So it was just fun.
Couple of hands, one right there.
I was a majorette, and
Oh.
I didn't miss a parade, but I do remember cold, and cold, and with skirts, and our hands would be very hard to do our routine, so instead of doing such intricate things, we did a lot of not so intricate.
Right. Just kind of to be bundled up. Yeah.
And that was
Yeah.
50s and 60s.
Okay, 50s
Be
and
able to hold
60s.
on to a cold.
Yeah, that would be very cold. Yeah.
I can remember, and I'm sure if anybody that's been there a couple of times when it poured, rain.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Sulfur.
Mm-hmm.
And one year we had an exchange student from Brazil, and we're getting in the big build up, and he's coming to the U.S. to see snow, and he said, oh, and the parade and everything. And we were at the parade at the corner of 5th and Main. Does anybody remember 5th Street?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I heard about it.
I wish it was
We
that.
couldn't get
Yeah.
rain, it just poured. But you know, people didn't give up. Everybody hung. And
We're tough folk here in Rochester. We love our outside, don't we?
it was terrible. We finally, at the end of January, took them to Traverse City and Harbor Springs so I could see some snow, because it was the year we didn't have snow.
We didn't have snow. Yeah, yeah. I saw a hand over here and then we'll get started. Yeah.
I remember like in middle school and high school marching in the Rochester Parade.
Yes.
Were you with a band or what?
Marching band.
Marching band, which school?
Avondale High School.
Okay, great. Yeah, yeah, fun. The bands are what makes the parade as far as I'm concerned. You know, that's the fun part. Yeah.
Well, I was going to add on to that, because for 8 years, I was the adult marshal for the Adams Marching Band.
Oh.
And I don't think people realize what those youngsters go through. To be able to march in that cold, and they'd have to have Vaseline on their mouths if they were brass players, because the mouthpiece would stick to their mouth.
Yep.
And I would carry Vaseline, I would carry wax for those that had braces,
Mm-hmm.
because when you've got that instrument up against your braces, particularly in the cold, it starts to rub raw. We had all kinds of first aid supplies, because you were always fixing somebody. And they would be out there for a couple hours before they'd even get started marching. So there was a number of hijinks that went on. And 1 year, the rain, we had raincoats for them, but then we had 120 damp woolen uniforms that we had to try to dry out in the band room, because
That's the worst.
you know what damp wool smells like. We would get younger
It shrinks,
brother
too.
siblings to carry the banner, because that way they would, work into the marching band for coming years. But I still get teary-eyed.
Aw.
I just love those marching bands.
I know.
Don't forget the band marching early in the morning, practicing all before.
Yeah, yeah,
Every
absolutely. Well, I'm going to tap into a little bit of history, just give you a little update on what I know about the parade. And I think you do get teary-eyed, because this is the kind of event that puts on that just you have all these traditions. For our family, we have 4 kids, and we had 2 of them in band. We had cheerleader, and we had football player, and all that. So, from my perspective, my kids have grown up. Of course, they're chamber babies, so that means every volunteer work that has to be done in the community, they're part of that. And they just love the parade. They would be in the parade. They'd want to help me while I'm at 4:30 in the morning on parade day. I'm putting signs out. And they would be right on my side helping me, and then I would always drop them off to where they need to be, because they're going to actually be in the parade. Then Mom goes off to run the parade, and then find them somewhere. I always tell them, go back to the chamber office. I'll end up there at some point. But and then after the parade, we always have a celebration with all the volunteers, because we have a lot of volunteers that help us with it. And after that, our family goes back to our house and decorates our own Christmas tree and watches a Christmas movie. So that was our tradition, is getting ready for Christmas and putting up our tree the same day that we put on the parade. So, you know, that's the memory that we have, and our kids were all in band, and what those kids go through in band is tough. Every year, I don't know if any of you are firefighters, but we usually have a couple of incidents where we have, you know, they're on their feet for a long time, and we have some that will faint, pass out, if you will, and we always have someone there to help them. So it's fun stuff. But yeah, traditions are what makes a parade and makes a great community. So a little bit about the history of the parade. Well, I mean, some of you already stole my line, so I guess, you know. But the very first Rochester Christmas parade was December 13th, 1952. And it was put on and sponsored by the Lions Club, the Rochester Lions Club. And so some of you have already identified that. One of the things, probably the parade has changed a lot since the 50s in some ways, but I will tell you that in a lot of ways it hasn't. One of the things that I take pride in is we have kept the parade, we have tried to keep the parade as traditional as it was when it first started. Now obviously there were changes before my time that may have happened, but we, you know, from an application point of view, from how we judge everything, all of those things are still in place today. So I'm not sure, I couldn't find any record of, it seems like when the parade first started out, they may not have been as structured in regards to that, but we have kept the structure so that it holds true to what its original intent was. And I will share with you that we've had some folks even challenge calling it a Christmas parade, and we will never change the name. It will always be the Rochester Hometown Christmas Parade. So you can be assured of that as long as I'm in our board of directors too. We actually have communication ready and available if we were ever to be challenged with that. And we have been a couple of times since I've been there, but we will not change. It will stay as traditional as it should. So know that. And that's important, you know, that's history here, and that holds firm. So in the first parade, I was just reading through some of the notes. They had someone from, this is really, and all of this information is on your table too. So I'm not going to read all the pages word for word, just so you know, because I want to share with you some more stuff and get into some of the conversation of how we plan the parade. But I found it interesting so we had someone from Channel 7, WXYZ, Justin Cowboy Colt was in the first parade. There's possibly, and they identified that he may not have shown up for the parade. That's what the newspaper said. But Santa was there, so that was good. You know, and I think from what I can gather from the history of this is that this was absolutely the biggest event of the year for Rochester, was this parade. And I'm so thankful that the Rochester Lions started it. I think that's a wonderful tradition and gift that they gave this community. The parade is older than the Chamber of Commerce. We're 61 years old, the parade is 65 years old, and it's obvious we didn't always have it, but we ended up with it. And I'm okay with that because, as you know, I love a parade, and you know, we have a full-time staff, and we're able to really, it takes a lot to plan the parade, and we have the resources to be able to do that. So I think it's great that we're a part of it now, but I really honor those that started it, because without that baseline, we wouldn't have this wonderful, beautiful, treasured event. So, you know, I'm going to kind of skip to a few years. By 1956, they said the parade had grown to 30 floats and 6 bands. So that, you know, that's big. I would consider that to be a really good parade, especially then. And so, however, so here's what I've noticed. There seems to be a trend, and you guys have already identified this in the crowd. it stated that it was reported as one of the rainiest days of the year. And I tell you what, rain in December is no fun. And it seems like, from what I can tell from history, even back in the 50s, that particular day for a while was always rainy, mostly rainy, more so than super cold and snowy. I don't believe that they've ever canceled the parade. I can't see that. We work with the fire department and the police department, and they have no record of that. We have an extremely, it is an emergency plan. We have everything laid out for if there was an incident. The only thing really that would close the parade, and this is what we talk about in our meetings, is if there was lightning. We can deal with the snow. We don't like the rain, but we'll tolerate it, and we've had some in my time while I've been here. But lightning will probably be the only thing that I can tell, unless we just get totally major blizzard that would just completely make it unsafe for everyone. But lightning is what we talk about in our office.
Tornado warnings would do it too.
Yeah, tornado. I haven't really noticed one in December, but you never know. What times are changing. You never know. So in '56, they reported it was the rainiest time, and that they had 30 floats and 6 bands that were there. And they used to travel south on 2nd Street, then go to Walton Boulevard, and north to the American Legion Hall. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Well, the American Legion Hall was on right where the library, the old library was.
Yes. Yep. So it kind of it had a totally different.
And it sounds like it's out of whack.
Yeah. That was how it was. Yeah.
But didn't the parade start on Woodward?
At one time, yes. Yeah. Yep.
The early parade.
The early parades, they would actually line them up on the side roads too. So it appears, so let's see here, another kind of significant piece that I thought was interesting. So in the early 1960s is when the chamber, I can't imagine what that meeting was like, but it appears that we were approached to be a part of the parade and to take it on financially and the planning of it. And we accepted that. Our board of directors at that time accepted that. At that time, we probably were more of a volunteer organization than we are today. Today, our chamber, we have over 1,000 businesses that are chamber members. We're the largest chamber in Oakland County. We put on over 100 events, including the parade. I suspect it was a little different then. One of the things that I noticed in the history that I thought was interesting, and I'm hoping maybe some of you can help me, in the beginning it used to be on Saturdays at 2 o'clock. And I can't really identify when it changed to Sunday, but I can imagine it probably changed because the downtown became busier, and the businesses probably said, Saturday's our busiest day, and we don't want our road closed, because having the parade does include closing the roads. And so I suspect that was honored, that request, because I would suspect that would have been the case. Certainly would be the case today. You usually want to close roads when there's not as much traffic, or you try to keep, you want to be mindful of all of that. It's really quite challenging to put on a community event, because you are dealing with that, and no one really likes to put residents, make that inconvenient for them. So I suspect that that's why that happened. And I know that we kept it at 2 o'clock still to be after church. So those are things that I know, because we work with all the churches now to make sure that that services are completed by the time we start closing roads, so that won't interfere with that. So we respect that, and we work around that, and we talk to those that may be interfered, and and make sure that we're squared away with that. So I don't know, does anyone kind of remember any of that, the Saturday moving to Sunday, and what year that might have happened? Because it's not real clear in our history. But I will tell you, in the newspaper, if you read all the information that I shared with you and what we researched, it seemed like it was, I even think that even when the chamber first took it over, we still had it on Saturday. It appears maybe the end of 60s and 70s is when it moved to Sunday, from my perspective. So there's your homework assignment. There you go. One of the things, and I was talking with someone with the group. It's one thing that we're doing now is it's really important to keep track of your history. And this has been when this is a community event and it's been moved on to different groups. And the problem is you get fires, you have floods in your office, like we've had 3 times. And we didn't have the technology then that we do now. So it's real challenging to really preserve history and these things. But we are now doing that. And we do partner with all groups that we can to make sure that we're documenting history as it's, right now it's live today, but it's going to be history. And we are making sure that we have that so there won't be gaps moving forward. But we do have a few gaps that it bums me out because, this is important stuff and, you want to make sure that you're covering it very well. What I could say about the history of the parade is that they've always had Santa Claus as, it's kind of the welcoming part of having Santa Claus. The cool thing that used to happen in the beginning years is that when the day of the parade and after the parade, there was a movie theater downtown. And all the kids got to go to the movies, and I think that's when the parents got a break from the kids, maybe to do some holiday shopping or whatever, maybe have holiday parties or what have you. But what a cool thing that was, and the kids could go to the movie for free. So I know my kids would really have enjoyed that. You go to a parade and then the movies, attend a movie. So that was part of the traditions in the 50s and the 60s. In regards to that, so pretty cool stuff, and I think that again, it continuously talks about it being the largest event for the community, which I think is great. So you can kind of read through a lot of the different points in regards to things that happened, very specific. The one thing that I keep coming back to is the rain. There was no problem with reporting that it rained that year. I got that part. One thing, too, that I thought was interesting is in 1967, and I would have been 1 year old at that time, you had a Miss Rochester.
Yes.
So that, I don't know when that started or when that ended, but that is when it was noted that Miss Rochester was in the parade. And then that year, so that would have been in 67, we had over 1,500 participating in the parade. There were 45 units, 22 floats, and 5 bands, and Miss Rochester and Homecoming Queen in court. So
Do we know who
it doesn't state who it was. I know, that's the thing. And all this information is what we looked at all the newspapers. It just identified Miss Rochester, did not state who.
Miss Rochester, the winner could go on to the Miss Michigan parade.
Right, yeah.
Or Michigan pageant. And I don't know if we dropped that pageant way back. I sort of think we must have.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. So also that year, in December 7th, 1967, 8,000 folks watched the parade, and the parade only lasted 40 minutes because it rained. So there you go. That's the piece that I noticed. And then also after the parade, there was a Hills Amateur Radio Club that taped a message to be sent over to the servicemen overseas. So that happened after the parade in that year when it rained, which seems to be when it rained a lot in those times. So, yeah, so that's, so that kind of takes you up. There's a lot of interesting things, a lot of great photos. Let's see here, I'm kind of going to bounce to December 2nd, 1971. This was when the theme of it was Rochester is an old-fashioned Christmas. And I noted this because I thought this was interesting, and I want to know if any of you noticed this. So this is in 72, we're in 72 now. Santa arrived in a helicopter. Does anybody remember that?
Where, on the street?
That was in 1972,
Where did it
in front of Cunningham's at North Hill.
The shopping center.
Yeah.
Before
So-
he got in the parade.
Yeah, I just hadn't. That kind of part of the history of the parade stuck out to me to imagine Santa Claus coming in a helicopter. That must have been a big deal, and I wonder whose helicopter it was. Yeah. No, it was. Well, I don't believe it was. I don't know if the TV
National Guard or.
Yeah. Military. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Just a little, side note to talk about the themes and how they're selected. So we have a Christmas parade committee. We also will ask the public if they could help us. And I will tell you, it's one of the toughest things that we have to do is select the theme, because the parade is 65 years old and you can only have so many themes. We don't like to repeat them, and we have kind of adjusted them a little bit to match up. So the theme is really a fun and challenging piece to select. And it goes through quite a process of gathering ideas, reviewing what's been done, and making sure that when you think of a theme, you want it to look colorful and beautiful and have it be kind of easy for folks to build floats and things on. So this year is Holiday Masquerade. That will be our theme. So we picture a lot of bright colors coming down. We feel like you can have a lot of fun with the mask and things of that nature. So stay tuned. We'll see how that holds out, but we're pretty excited about it. And I will tell you, we partnered with Paint Creek Center for the Arts, and they have also, they already started, they had at Art and Apples, little kids could make their mask to be in the parade. So that has already started with the partnerships there. That's the cool thing about the parade, is all the partnerships with everyone that we have that can get involved from that perspective. So really, I don't want to go. I know that I might be running out of time, and I don't want to keep you too long, but I did want to share with you, 5 minutes. So I'm going to pack in a bunch of stuff in 5 minutes. I will tell you that, not only selecting the theme is fun, but also selecting grand marshals is a great process for us. We have a form that folks fill out and make, advocate for whom they may feel would be worthy of being a grand marshal or marshals. Sometimes we have a husband and wife team. So that usually happens. We make those announcements. We'll start seeking nominations right after the parade. We go all the way through March. We usually meet in June and we announce in July, kind of that Christmas in July piece. So, that's always an important process to be a part of. And right now we're still accepting applications. The deadline was actually yesterday, but by history we know we'll still get a whole group of folks in for the parade through this week still. And now the parade, we usually have about 110 units in the parade. I like to have 10 to 12 bands in the parade. I will tell you that it is becoming a little bit more, there's a lot of other communities doing stuff and taking those bands away from us. We actually pay the bands. We give a donation to the bands for them to be here. And, you know, we still have all the Boy Scouts and Brownies involved and all of those things that you can imagine. We have a parade application, and I brought all those things here for you to see. One of the other things that we do that I think is pretty cool, and it still holds the tradition, is that we actually still give prizes for the floats, and we give away awards. And we do have one of our judges here, Miss Barbara Markham, yay, who has been doing it for several years. And they have a really hard job, as some of you already identified, because they have to make the selections. But we have a youth float category, a high school, an adult, a business, drill teams, clowns, and novelty. So those are all the types of groups that are opportunities that people can win. And we give out cash prizes and plaques and ribbons. And I have some examples here. I also have some past buttons that if you're interested in taking some home with you, feel free. And you have this year's button too. We typically sell those for $1 at Bob Lytle's place. And those go pretty fast there. And you know, we use Stony Creek High School now to stage everything. So we try to keep everyone, all the kids and the bands inside the building as long as we can, and then we pull them out to get them down the road. And you know, it typically takes about an hour and a half for the parade from start to finish now. But I will say, like when it's cold, the step, everybody seems to be going a little faster. So you know, that seems to speed things up. During my time, I've been here for 16 years. 8 of those years, we did have it televised on Channel 7. That's a whole nother story, but you know, Channel 7 was great to work with. It was great for the community, and we really, really enjoyed it. The one thing I'll say is everything lives its season, and you know, they had new management, and they also they struck a new deal with this group called the Lions. I know. So that's really, you know, we had 8 years of a good time, but I also would say I personally enjoyed just doing the parade itself. We do record it with Rochester Hills, so you can actually watch the parade or buy a DVD.
It wasn't on last year.
Oh yeah, it's on for 6 to 8 weeks.
It was after the parade
Right.
was on. But
Yes.
It wasn't.
Right, because
It used to, when Rochester Hills first did it,
Mhm.
it used to be on simultaneously, and then Channel 7 came in, and then they did more interviews with people
Right.
instead of watching the parade.
Yeah, yeah.
And break for commercials.
Well, and what we noticed when we had Channel 7 televising the parade is that less people would come downtown. So that defeated our purpose. So now we have it recorded, and so it is played after the parade, and it's played for like 6 to 8 weeks afterwards. And like we still have the link on our website. You could watch last year's parade right now if you wanted to. Yeah.
Being past president of the Rochester Lions Club, we are very upset with Channel 7 because one year our 65th anniversary,
Right.
we weren't even mentioned.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you know, that was one thing that was the challenging part of working with them is they had total control of their media. We would feed them information, and they would just do whatever they could. And you know, it's a very interesting thing to record a parade. It's a different scenario. So, you know, now we have just back to the traditional parade, and we have 3 stages with the parade, and you know, it's great fun. Cost us over $50,000 to put on the parade, and yeah, it's not free anymore. And so we raise the funds to do that. We have the generosity of folks like Genesis Credit Union, Oakland University, Crittenton Hospital, Fox and Shelton dealerships that really help us with some of those pieces. So if you ever see those folks, really thank them. And there's many more. But those are the biggies that really help keep this community treasure in place. So yeah.
Are you going to try to stick with the theme of the bicentennial?
We are. We totally already committed to that. So
this year or next year?
For next year.
Okay,
yeah.
so it'll end up the whole year.
Yes, that is correct. It should be, I guess I would love your input on that. That can be a side conversation, but, you know, we're trying to picture what that would look like, how to do the parade from that perspective, the bicentennial.
You
Yeah.
could do, like the City Beautiful Commission is gonna put the sundial
Mm-hmm.
in place, and we've decided to do a stone for every 10 years.
Right.
So you could probably pick up what our theme are for each one of our stones, and maybe that might be a good idea.
Yeah, that sounds like a really good one. Have to sit down and chat with you about that. So, again, there's so much more I could say, but my time is up, and I really do appreciate you having me here. Usually I'm that girl doing that, so it's kind of interesting to be on this end of the stick, but I greatly appreciate being here with all of you today and hearing the stories, and know that we love this parade, and we will keep it as traditional as possible and sustain it the way that we should. So I really do appreciate your time, and there's a lot of fun stuff here, and I'll be around if you want to talk offline. So thank you.